How does technology affect productivity in the workplace? By the time you're done watching this video, you're going to learn just how important technology is to keeping most businesses running efficiently. First, we're going to stop and ask a question that no one asks when it comes to workplace productivity. You'll discover the role that technology has played in the past to increase workplace capabilities, and you'll take a peek into the future to see how technology will impact future productivity. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start off by defining technology, since we're talking about technology's impact on productivity. I want to be very clear because technically fire or the invention of the wheel, those are all technology. Tools that we have in our home, hammers and screwdrivers, those are technology as well. That's not really what we're going to talk about in this particular case. We're really talking about technology that runs on some type of energy power source. In fact, we're focusing more so on machines. So here's the question we need to stop and ask, because we live in a world that oftentimes seems to promote productivity at all costs. My question to you is, do all businesses actually need to be more productive? Do they all need to run with maximum efficiency? I want you to think about companies that sell bespoke products, those products that are individually tailored for individual people. What about those companies that offer experiential items? So maybe they're giving you experiences. You come in, so maybe it's an escape room, or maybe it's some type of art exhibit. So stop and think about, do all businesses need to be efficient? So in the case of the first one where they're offering bespoke items, I remember going to Italy years ago, and I walked into this beautiful shop where the designer actually owned her own shop. I went in there, I tried on the clothes, it was beautiful. While I was in there, they were actually starting to make the markings so that they could tailor my clothing for me and have it ready within a couple of days. That was an experience. It wasn't really about rushing them. When I came in and they were servicing someone else, I wasn't trying to hurry them along. They gave me a very friendly hello, but I could see that it really was about the experience of trying on the clothes, them kind of seeing how it fits your body, them showing you the different angles. I never felt that incredible in my life. And this wasn't an extremely expensive shop. So this isn't even about luxury, but they were offering this experience. Their clothes were experience. And so the question is, does a business like that need to increase productivity? Or do current clients come there because they want that level of service and not to feel rushed? In some instances, productivity can actually have a negative impact on the client's experience. I'll give you another example. I have a couple of doctors that I've seen over the years who are incredible. One's my general practitioner. They are not efficient. They come in, they crack jokes, they learn a little bit about you, they say some silly things, but it really could go twice as fast if they move faster. But they don't, because it's an experience. And my family and I have continued to frequent these particular medical professionals because they're giving that experience. It's not about efficiency. Again, I gave the examples of art exhibits and escape rooms. Are there things that they can do from a psychological standpoint to move you along faster in galleries? Of course they can. There's ways that they can actually structure the gallery halls. They could have harder, more uncomfortable seating. They can use certain colors that motivate you to be hungry or to move faster. There's all kinds of color psychology that can be used. But not everything in business is about productivity and efficiency. And so before we talk about how technology impacts those two, and assuming that's a positive thing, we do have to understand that there are times where that can have a negative impact as well. My next question to you is, how do things like electricity, phones, and personal computers impact productivity in businesses? Can you imagine any job that you've had in the past not having access to electricity? What about having access to phones? Whether we're talking about landlines or mobile devices, could you imagine having to write a note and wait for a response and then go back and forth until you get the information you need? That's highly inefficient. And then when we think about personal computers now, or even the personal computers that we always have at our disposal because we always have them with us, right? Imagine life without these things and how inefficient the average business would be. In fact, some business models couldn't even exist without this technology. So to say that technology hasn't had a huge impact would be incredibly silly. We know that it's impacting businesses' productivity. The question is Is it something that we want to leverage? And if so, what's the best way to do it? We're going to pause for just a second, just for me to ask you a quick question. And that is, have you already subscribed to this channel? If not, I don't want you to miss more information that you need to be strategic about the future. We're about to start talking about the impact of artificial intelligence on business productivity, and I have many other videos on that topic. So we want to make sure that you're not missing out on additional information that can help you. Make sure you subscribe today. So let's talk about some additional technology tools or specific technology tools that have definitely made an impact on the productivity of businesses, specifically in present times. I can't think of a single resource greater than artificial intelligence in terms of its impact on the business world. In fact, according to research by Stanford and MIT, it found that chatbots using generative AI boosted productivity of most businesses by at least 14%. So again, those businesses that use generative AI chatbots saw an increase in productivity of at least 15%. But what's even more fascinating is that while average worker productivity increased by 14%, when it comes to the specific group of workers who are classified as novices and low-skilled workers, they saw their productivity increase by 35%. And so the trend seems to be that the workers who have the least amount of skills are the ones who could be boosted the best using generative AI and other AI types of technology. But it doesn't just stop there. We found that AI algorithms are much more accurate than human researchers and much faster in reading body scans, as well as predicting potential health issues. And so it's not even just about blue collar versus white collar. We're seeing that across the board, AI is increasing productivity. But wait, before you hop on the we need to use extra technology train, please understand that a poor technology pairing with the wrong culture can lead to a lack of productivity. In fact, it can make your organization less productive. We've probably seen, if we haven't already experienced ourselves, organizations that include new technology in their technology stack. Maybe it's something bright, new, and shiny that someone at the top thought would be the perfect addition. Usually someone who doesn't actually work in the roles of the people who would have to adopt that technology. Well, when that technology rolls out, it can potentially cause a great deal of stress, not only regarding workers needing additional training, but if it's not actually effective at what it was designed to do, now you have less productivity in the workplace. And not only that, you have a loss of goodwill with upper level management. So make sure that you're having all your different technologies run by your different employee groups first to see what their opinions are. And we're not really presenting it in a way like, oh, there's the new technology, what do you think? But possibly asking, hey, if there's technology out there that can make your lives better or that can improve the output of this department, what would you want it to do? Maybe the technology that you've already picked out, you can turn around and say a few days later, give it some time, oh, we heard you when you said you need this, this, and this. Well, we have this new technology that we're introducing that solves that problem. Now you have these people taking partial ownership of the shift as well. So as you add technology, it does need to match the culture of your people. The other thing that we have to consider is that technology can and will continue to replace workers. Now, it may not have the displacement effect that some of us think. When it comes to generative AI, I've seen people say anything between 15 to over 50% of jobs will be eliminated over the next 5 years. I tend to think it's a little bit further on that lower end because we tend to overestimate the impact of technology on the future. However, it's undeniable that there will be people who are displaced. Right now, we can all think of jobs that no longer exist because we don't really need people to do those things anymore. When was the last time you took a roll of film to Walgreens to have it developed? What happened to the people that were developing that film? So again, technology does displace people. So as we're incorporating technologies into our organizations, the humane thing would be to make sure that we're offering some form of alternative training or up-leveling or upskilling for our existing workers so that they can either have the opportunity to stay with us or at least be a little bit better prepared to go back into the job market and potentially be picked up into another role. So speaking about preparing people for the inevitable future, you're going to notice in the description of this video, you're going to see a link to the Future Ready Playbook. This is a playbook that I designed especially for you to help you be strategic in how you plan for the future. Inside, you're going to find activities and worksheets that are going to make you think a little bit more strategically about not only the future of your business, if you're a business owner, but the future of your career and or your own personal goals and personal life as well. We want to make sure that we're being strategic about everything that we're planning going forward. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the link and download your copy.